After a pride-filled day in Los Angeles on Saturday, complete with naked gay men in bondage gear parading through the streets and acting out their sexual fetishes in front of children while morbidly obese drag queens stood on parade floats and shouted about lube into megaphones, festivities culminated in a grand finale, musical performance. The LA Pride in the Park Music Festival billed itself as an all-ages, kid-friendly event. Which, in fact, all the Pride parades and all the Pride events claim to be all ages and kid-friendly. But we know what these people mean when they say kid-friendly. Essentially, a kid-friendly activity is any activity they feel like engaging in with kids present. They don't judge whether something is kid-friendly before doing it in front of kids. They do it in front of kids and then declare after the fact that it was kid-friendly because they did it in front of kids. And so it perhaps should not be a surprise that former pop star Christina Aguilera took to the stage during this concert to perform a song called XXX alongside a transgender singer named Kim Petras. And for the performance, Aguilera wore a green Hulk suit and a strap-on dildo. She then simulated masturbation as she danced across the stage while drunkenly shouting the lyrics to what just may be the dumbest song ever written. And there's a lot of competition for that title, but listen. Yes, the song largely consists of the word sex repeated over and over again. There are also graphic descriptions of various sex acts in the song, but in case you aren't picking up on the theme, they continue to shout the word sex in the refrain. Like, do you get it? This song's about sex. You know sex? Aren't you impressed? Aren't we edgy? Isn't this an edgy song, guys? Did you hear us? We said the word sex. What they lack in wit or subtlety, they'll make up for by beating you over the head with a sledgehammer until you've lost enough brain cells to actually enjoy a song like this. Maybe by the time your mental capacity matches that of like a dish rag or Joe Biden, you might find yourself tapping your foot and nodding along to the song. It is interesting, though, to consider that Janet Jackson was around the age Christina Aguilera is now when she performed at the Super Bowl in the early 2000s. And back then, it was a major scandal, a huge national story, when an aging pop star showed her nipple for a few seconds. Now an aging pop star can gyrate across the stage in front of kids while screaming about sex and waving her dildo around, and it's barely noticed by anybody, apart from a few approving write-ups by the entertainment rags. Now that's understandable in a certain way. It's difficult to keep up with all of this shameless perversion and depravity, especially during Pride Month. After all, this happened just a day after Postmates, which is a food delivery service owned by Uber, ran an ad introducing their new, quote, bottom-friendly menu. Now, I can't even play most of this ad, and if I could play it, I still wouldn't play most of it. But here's just enough to get the gist of it. And the main reason I want to play this for you is that if you haven't seen it and I describe it, you will think I'm making it up. But I am not. Watch.
What are you eating this Pride? Well, if you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve? Not this Pride. Introducing the bottom-friendly menu from Postmates. We teamed up with Dr. Evan Goldstein from Bespoke Surgical to bring you a menu of bottom-friendly foods backed by science. Insoluble fiber won't help you feel cute, so avoid things like whole grains, wheat bran, cauliflower, potatoes, legumes. Hold up, are you just fully diving into those beans?
Like I said, subtle. Subtle as always. Now to be totally clear about what you just heard, this is a major food delivery service which now has a section on its website for food items you should eat before engaging in sodomy. They have a sodomy section on their menu. Essentially, they imagined what it would have been like if Sodom and Gomorrah had DoorDash, and then they went and just made that dream a reality. Meanwhile, lost in the shuffle between the sodomy menu and Christina Aguilera in a dildo was the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, in which Nancy Pelosi wandered onto stage to deliver a canned stump speech about the wonders of drag. Because these days, politicians actually have canned stump speeches about the wonders of drag. Watch.
Please give a warm drag race welcome to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Welcome back.
My honor to be here to say to all of you how proud we all are of you. Thank you for the joy and beauty you bring to the world.
Aww.
Your freedom of expression of yourselves in drag is what America is all about.
Everybody on that stage, by the way, is completely wasted, including and especially Nancy Pelosi. Now, drag is what America is all about, says the Speaker of the House. The men who stormed the beaches of Normandy thought they were fighting for freedom, family, righteousness, truth. Turns out they were mostly fighting for drag. Many brave souls have died to protect the sacred right of men to cross-dress as characters from Nightmare Before Christmas, because that's always the preferred drag aesthetic for some reason. So what's going on here? What are we witnessing? I think there are two things that are related. One is that our culture has been coarsened to the point of non-existence. Now, cultures are supposed to be living, breathing, vibrant things. Cultures are rich with tradition and history. A culture preserves the heritage of your ancestors and leaves a legacy for future descendants. A culture is the summation of the art and history and traditions and accomplishments of a people. A people's culture is supposed to tell you what those people value, what they care about, who they are. That is not our culture, because we don't have one. Ours is an anti-culture. Our culture is the absence of culture. Our culture is a giant black hole from which no light can escape. The left isn't concerned with building anything, making anything, preserving anything, creating anything. Instead, they destroy. That's all they do. Even the music doesn't exist for its own sake. Our pop stars, they don't make music. They make anti-music. The music is a testament to what it isn't. That's the only point of the music, is what it isn't. We have pop stars shouting the word sex while running around the stage with dildos, not because this is the kind of music they want to make, but because it's the opposite of the kind of music they don't want to make or anyone to make. Namely, beautiful and meaningful music. Music that points to truth, to the eternal, to the transcendent, as all art is supposed to do. Not anti-art, though. And this is the case with everything in our anti-culture. Everything is broken down and replaced with nothing. Words are emptied of meaning, but not infused with any new meaning. Everything is nothing, and nothing is meant to mean anything. The other point is that we're now witnessing the institutionalization of debauchery. Institutionalized debauchery. When Uber is making ads promoting anal sex, and former Mickey Mouse Club pop stars are running around with dildos, and the Speaker of the House is appearing on stage with drag queens, it means that debauchery and perversion and depravity have been totally institutionalized. You cannot rebel against the system by acting like an insane, stupid, sex-crazed fiend, because that is the system. That's what the system is all about. The bad news about this is that it means that our institutions are completely gone. We have lost them. They are just gone. But the good news is that the more that this stuff is promoted by high-ranking politicians and faceless corporations, the less rebellious and interesting and unique it seems. That's why the perverts are growing increasingly desperate to shock and offend us. And the harder they try, the more difficult it is for them. All of their antics are bored and tired and cliched. Now, there may have been a time when drag queens represented a rebellion of sorts, but not anymore. Not when Nancy Pelosi is standing there with them. These days, if you want to rebel against the system, you have to do it by rejecting all of those things. The most rebellious thing you can do is lead a good, decent, normal life rooted in moral truth and sanity. That's the most rebellious thing. You want to be a rebel, that's what you do. That's the advantage we have now in the culture, I think. Anyone who wants to rebel against the system, anyone who wants to stick their middle finger up to the man or the them, or however the man identifies these days, has to do it by rejecting the degeneracy and moral corruption that the system peddles. That, again, is the good news. that we are the counterculture now. We are the rebels. Hey, listen, hit the subscribe button. Do it right now. I demand it. And I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.